Does Christianity begin with us, or does it begin with God? There's a lot of different religions in our world today, and they all express that desire or that search for God. But Christianity doesn't start there. Rather, Christianity is about God. God looking and searching for us. Think of Adam and Eve. After they had eaten of that forbidden fruit, wasn't it God who called out for Adam, "Where are you? Where are you?" Think of Christ hanging on the cross dying, crying out, "I thirst, I thirst." God looking for us. The people of Nineveh are living today a sinful life. Their life is full of pleasures, full of noises, and maybe even full of popularity and great achievements. But they're empty. There's no meaning. There's no happiness in their lives. And God's heart is moved with pity for them because he loved them. He wanted them as his own. And so he sends a prophet by the name of Jonah to wake them up, to put them back on that path of God, God's plan for happiness, what it really means to be happy in our lives. Through Jonah, God went in search of his people. In the gospel, St. Mark shows Jesus doing what he came to earth to do, calling his apostles as he walked along the sea, "Come, you, come, follow me, be my disciple." And that's what the core of Christianity is about. God calls his apostles because he wants to give them more. He wants to give them meaning. He wants to give them purpose in life. He wants to bring them to heaven. This is what God is all about. He comes in search of you. He comes in search of me. He comes in search of our human hearts, calling out for us, calling us into his everlasting friendship. God is always calling. But the question is, are we listening? Are we listening to him? We fill our lives today with so much noise that God, he kind of gets lost. There's so much happening in our world. We're constantly on our computers, we're constantly on our televisions, we're constantly on our phones. There's little time to hear God. God gets lost. If we really want to let God's call into our hearts resound, we have to learn the value of silence. Have you ever walked into a beautiful church, walked into the cathedral in St. Paul, seeing the beautiful artwork, the marble columns, the beautiful statues, and you're left in silence and in awe? You're amazed by what you see, and your heart's at peace because of the silence. You can hear God speaking to you. And that's what we have to create in our hearts, in our ordinary daily lives. That wonder, that awe, that silence. And the most direct way to do this is to give God real quality time each day. I began this new year by talking about prayer in my homilies. And I continue to do it, and I'm going to continue to do it throughout this year because I want us to learn the value of prayer. So many of us are missing it nowadays. So many of us are failing to take the time. I'm asking each of us to spend just 15 minutes a day, just 15 minutes a day with God. Being with him in your room, in a church, in a park, out in nature. Taking 15 minutes of silence. Maybe it's even in your office at work. Shutting off the noise, the phone, the distractions. And spending 15 minutes in quiet time, opening up a prayer book. Opening up sacred scripture. Take time to gaze at God's beautiful nature. To sit in silence at a sunrise or a sunset. And let God speak to your heart. Let God speak to your heart. God is constantly telling us that he loves us. That he has a plan for our lives. From now on, let's promise him that we'll pay attention to his call. Today, as we continue in this beautiful sacrifice of the Mass, let's enter into the sacredness, the silence of the celebration, allowing our hearts to simply adore that God who loves us. And let's ask him for the grace we need to respond generously today and every day to his personal call in his life. 15 minutes of silence, listening to God. He's calling. He loves us. Can you and I do it? Can we listen in to what he has to say instead of to all the noise in our world today?